Okay, next question is from Matthew. Hey Matthew, in what ways can someone like me, an INFP who has had the tendency to let their inner children run their life in an unhealthy, immature way, like counting on things staying mostly the same and easy failings into ruts, even though one has so many ideas on how many ways their life could go sometimes. How does someone work on developing their trust in the inner parent? Okay, so Matthew, thank you for asking this question. This is a very, very good question. And one of the main things, so one of the big challenges about this situation where we feel that the inner children are in charge, they're constantly challenging the grown-up parts of you, they're, taking the steering wheel and they're driving the car into terrains that perhaps you don't want to go as a grown-up. One of the big challenges with this is that there is a habit that has been created that has to be broken. And then there is a belief, secondly, a belief that you're not worthy of having what you actually do want. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword where you have to work on two things simultaneously. One of the things is allow yourself to be helped without self-criticism. So without putting yourself down, ask for help. So get off that dynamic of who's in charge and just allow yourself to kind of surrender into learning new things without making it mean anything about you, without making the fact that you don't already know how to do something mean anything about you. So that's something that we need to work on, as well as learning new skills on how to actually do it, how to actually be different. So one of the big challenges for INFPs is that if the 10-year-old inner child is in charge of information collecting, the 10-year-old inner child keeps referring, we call that part of you the historian, they keep referring into what happened before, and then they project what happened before into the current situation or into the future. So if you've had a lot of traumatizing experiences, then you assume that that is a fact for right now and for future as well, meaning if somebody that you trusted, for example, traumatized you or caused you pain, you now and in this moment expect everybody else to do that too. So you project it onto other people who may or may not want to traumatize you, as well as all the people in the future. So you can't hide for it, like you can't escape your past. If your 10-year-old inner child as an INFP is in charge of collecting information about a situation or about people, you cannot escape what happened. You can't escape your past, which means that things won't change in the future, because if you want to change things in the future, then what you want to do is something different to what you did in the past. So that's a big challenge for INFPs. The second challenge for INFPs, which I think is relating to recognizing or letting go of that self-critical part of you, is that you need to make sure that your 3-year-old inner child, which of course we call the executive, the outward-facing thinking, doesn't get to criticize you. So that criticism needs to be shut down, and you need to say to that part of you, listen, your criticizing the rest of the family is not going to unify all of the family. It's going to tear us apart, which means that if we're warring against each other, we are not going into the same direction. And you just, because it's a thinking part of you, being emotional with that part of you is not going to work. You need to be very clear and precise, and maybe even write these sentiments down when you find your inner 3-year-old criticizing you for not being perfect. You will take out your notepad and you're going to read from your notepad what you wrote, which was, listen, You don't get to criticize me. If we're going to criticize, if we're going to spend all our energy warring each other, we won't be able to come together and move forward. And just, you need to reason with that thinking part of you. So when you're emotional with that thinking part of you and you're trying to say, oh, it's not fair, it's, this, I'm criticizing myself, there's no way out, you're just giving that 3-year-old decision maker more power to continue to make those really bad decisions. And then if you let that 3-year-old make those decisions, your kind of fallback position is to try and then do everything perfectly, which, because the thinker is in the 3-year-old position, you won't be able to do, at least not for a very long time, because that's not your wheelhouse. Your wheelhouse is in authenticity. So from that perspective, write down the very factually based arguments or ways of setting boundaries with that 3-year-old inner child, that you have them available if you need to use them. So a big sign that you have moved away from the inner children running this show is when you're able to feel gratitude and express gratitude towards those people who have supported you through this situation. So when you start feeling grateful we've done work together. I'll just use this as an example. We've done work together for the last, year, maybe, year and a half. When you start to feel great gratitude towards the resources that we've offered you, the support that we've offered you, myself and other qualified mentors or mentors in training, then when you start to really genuinely feel that, then you're able to start to relax into your inner parenting routine. Because we can't feel grateful if we feel constantly under threat. That's just a fact. That's just a biological fact. We are unable to engage the top part of our brain when our central nervous system is firing and we're feeling like we're under threat and under pressure. So you will know when you're at kind of the next level of relaxation and next level of inner parenting, when you start to really feel the gratitude towards the work, the people who've helped you, and when you start to really express it, like really mean it, express it, I mean it. So not like this, oh, Matthew, you should tell us that we're doing a great job. It's not about that. It's about you knowing when you're hitting that next point because you're feeling it. And then the next point after that is to express it. Don't anybody ever put us on any pedestals or tell us that we're great. We don't want lip service. We just want to know how you're actually doing. Okay? So how does someone work on developing the trust on the inner parent? Just with the 3-year-old inner child, set clear and non-emotional boundaries. With the 10-year-old inner child for the INFP, notify them, show them that what happens in the future is not determined by the past. Set that boundary with them. And when they kind of go like, oh, but this and that, it's always like this, show them the times when somebody was actually nice to you, when somebody was actually supportive of you for who you are, and sit that 10-year-old inner child down and show, look, this has happened. We have been cared for. We have been loved. We have been accepted. And that way the historian begins to collect positive information as well, and that then starts the paddling forward, positive forward going momentum. All right, so I hope that answers that question for you, Matthew. As always, great questions.